Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Jill Valley. Dennis is off tonight. Smoky skies choke out western Montana as firefighters hold the lines on our major fires burning across the region. Let's start off with a quick look at some of the latest acreages. The Rice Ridge fire grew by nearly 1,000 acres yesterday. It is now nearly 10,200 acres with 10% containment. The Sunrise fire outside Superior has now burned 15,200 acres with 20% containment. The Gibraltar fire burning near Eureka grew slightly yesterday. It is about 1,500 acres right now. Across the northern Rockies, fire managers are preparing for a storm system to move through in the next few days. MTN's Augusta McDonald joins us in Seeley Lake with more on preparations being put in place. Augusta.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. I'm here outside the elementary school in Seeley Lake where people from the community are arriving here to the school for that 6 p.m. public meeting. Now, the coming storm system does have people worried about wind kicking up some of the fire activity already going on here and the potential for some new starts due to dry lightning. Regional managers just today notched up their fire preparedness level to get ready for this weekend.
The Northern Rockies Coordination Center took steps today to get ahead of critical fire weather, bumping from preparedness level 4 to 5.
And that's based on a number of factors, the number of large fires on the ground, and the potential for some critical weather to move in starting today through the weekend.
She says resources are ready to jump on any new fire activity.
When we go to preparedness level 5, it really doesn't change anything on the ground. As a geographic area, it's just heightens the state of readiness. You know, as far as the forest on the Lolo, or the fires on the Lolo National Forest, they have the resources, they have the teams in place. If they do need additional resources, we can move resources around from different fires, bring other resources in from other geographical areas.
The severity of the situation at the Rice Ridge fire has the attention of Montana's lawmakers, who are making sure this area is getting enough of the nation's strapped resources.
We're seeing resources stretched throughout the Forest Service. You know, over the last week, I've given calls into the Forest Service to see what kind of assets were out there to be able to move more assets into Montana. I'm going to tell you, every airplane, every helicopter, every guard unit is being utilized to the max.
Tester says this year's fire season is cause to take a hard look at how forests are managed.
And I think it just speaks to the intensity of a forest that has a lot of dead trees in it, and a climate that's changing, where our fire season is getting longer and more intense every year.
The last time the Northern Rockies area was listed at this top tier preparedness level 5 was in mid-August of 2015. Just new this afternoon, the August 14th Seeley Lake Community Council meeting is canceled due to the poor air quality, which just this morning in Seeley was listed as hazardous again. Local health officials are urging people to leave the area due to the poor health quality. And for the latest on that, let's send it back to Aaron Yost in the Storm Tracker Weather Center for the latest. Aaron.
Yeah, air quality suffering not only in Seeley Lake, but all over western Montana, particularly closer to our two kind of major fires, the Sunrise and of course the Rice Ridge. Currently Seeley Lake sitting at unhealthy. We've got Missoula, Thompson Falls, Hamilton, unhealthy for sensitive groups. Not on here is Frenchtown, also currently unhealthy as per the latest Montana DEQ air quality reading. Now, we do have those air quality alerts, rightfully so, in place until further notice. Even seeing some thunderstorms out there today. We've got forecast update coming up shortly.
Evacuation orders have not changed for the Rice Ridge fire, but residents are being asked to remain vigilant in the Seeley Lake area. The evacuation warning issued for south of Rice Ridge Road to Double Arrow Road, including the town of Seeley on the east side of Highway 83, still in place. The waters of Seeley Lake continue to be off limits to any recreational use because aircraft are using the lake to help with firefighting efforts. Fire managers reporting the Rice Ridge fire is continuing to move to the east into the Bob Marshall Wilderness area. The fire is expected once again to grow on the northern and eastern flanks and will be producing multiple smoke columns. No change in the evacuations in the lightning-sparked Gibraltar fire in Lincoln County. Yesterday, the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office issued mandatory evacuations for the Sherman Creek, Griffith Creek, Terrialt Pass, and Stevens Creek areas. The Grave Creek, Glen Lake, and St. Clair Creek areas south and east of the West Road are still under those pre-evacuation orders. Residents were briefly allowed to return home this morning to check on their properties. Super Scooper planes are currently drawing water from Lake Koocanusa near Rexford. If you're on the lake, officials say stay well aware from that activity. The planes won't be able to scoop up water if boaters are near, and that could result in delays to those firefighting efforts. Throughout the day, firefighters will patrol for spot fires on private and state lands and will use Foothill Road as a control line to minimize the threat to structures in the area. The 8 small fires started in Glacier National Park from a passing storm caused some road closures in the park, but they're in the process of being cleared up and reopened.
All of those fires are either completely out or controlled. There are still a few closures in place as those fires crews move off the fires and also patrol around to make sure that everything is indeed out and that we haven't detected any new fires.
The North Boundary Trail north of Goat Honk, the Logging Creek Trail, the Quartz Creek and Lake Trail starting from both the inside North Fork and the Bowman Lake Trailhead were closed. The Logging Creek and Quartz Creek campgrounds were also closed because of wildfire danger, as were the Upper Quartz Lake, Lower Quartz, Logging Lake, Adair and Grace Lake. Now, Glacier National Park spokeswoman Lauren Alley says that the updates are moving so quickly that the best thing for you to do is to check the park's trail status on their webpage before you head out.
So it's really important for folks that are coming to the park to check our trail status page. If they are looking to hike on some of those trails in the North Fork region, just go onto the trail status page and see what's been opened, because those trails, could be open relatively shortly, and so get the latest information on our website.
Fire danger in Glacier Park remains extreme. So what is next? A public meeting will be held at 6 o'clock tonight at the Seeley Lake Elementary School to talk about the efforts to battle the Rice Ridge fire. Also, the Missoula County Health Department is going to be there to talk about the problems with that terrible air quality. KPAX has a reporter there. Augusta McDonald will have an update tonight at 10. There's another public meeting set for tonight to talk about the Lolo Peak fire. That's at 7 o'clock at the Lolo Community Center on Highway 93 South in Lolo. We'll also have a reporter there, and we'll bring you an update on firefighting efforts at 10 o'clock. The incident management team will be hosting another public meeting tomorrow about the Gibraltar Ridge fire. That's at 6 o'clock at the Eureka High School auditorium. That's when they'll talk about the current fire status, evacuation updates, and the expected outlook as we head toward the weekend. Information on the Lolo Peak, Sunrise, and Sapphire Complex fires can all be found online. We're continuing to track all the details and that critical information you need to stay safe. With our Fire Watch coverage, we'll have it on air, online, on Facebook and Twitter, and you can always download that free KPAX mobile news app. Authorities are still trying to identify a man whose body was found in a creek outside Lincoln yesterday. The autopsy was conducted earlier today at the State Crime Lab in Missoula, but coroner Brian Backenberg says the results have not been released. A father and son fishing on Landers Fork Creek found the body yesterday afternoon and contacted law enforcement. Authorities also found a stolen car several miles away at the Indian Meadows trailhead. That vehicle had been reported stolen from the Lincoln area almost 2 weeks ago. Sheriff Leo Dutton says investigators are trying to determine if there's a connection to those two events.
Those are things that we're working with. How did he get there? Many of these things are still under investigation. We're working diligently to find out how this happened.
Dutton says it's not clear how long the body had been in the water, but it appeared to be there for no more than a few days. Police in Great Falls are investigating the death of a 7-year-old girl who was hit and killed by a vehicle. It happened around 6 o'clock last night in the Valley View neighborhood on the northwest side of Great Falls. Emergency responders performed CPR on the scene. The child was taken to the hospital, but she was pronounced dead. The driver of the vehicle remained at the scene and is cooperating with police. The child has not been publicly identified, and details on how this exactly happened have not been released either. The Lake County Sheriff's Office identified a man claiming to be a Coast Guard officer, the guy who was pulling boats over in the Polson area of Flathead Lake. They say it's 33-year-old Ryan Loudon, who now faces 3 felony counts of impersonating a public official. Lake County Sheriff's detectives conducted a search warrant of his home today and found Coast Guard clothing similar to what witnesses had reported. Loudon is scheduled to appear in Lake County Justice Court on August 16th for an initial appearance. With record attendance expected at the Western Montana Fair, Missoula law enforcement keeping on their toes to keep the peace. About 25 representatives from the Missoula Police Department and the Sheriff's Office are on site off and on for 24 hours a day during Fair Week. They take shifts patrolling the grounds on foot and on four-wheelers, citing fairgoers for violations and looking for any suspicious activity. Deputies say the biggest and most concerning problem they face during the fair is missing children, so they're reminding parents to be extra diligent in keeping track of their kids. Fair Director Emily Bentley says safety is always their top priority, and she encourages guests to be aware of their surroundings and know where those police officers are throughout the week.
We have a security office. They should go there if they have any questions about security or they see anything suspicious. But we attract responsible people, and we think it'll be a safe and fun fair for everybody.
She's also reminding people that it's hot and it's smoky. That could be a problem, so make sure you find shade, you use sunscreen, and drink a lot of water when you're at the fair. Well, still ahead, Aaron will take a look at the weather pattern that has fire managers concerned, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom comes back to Montana to honor the woman who spent a lifetime fighting for Native Americans. That's still ahead here on MTN.